What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, I want to talk about Big Bang Zhilei Zhang. What's next for him? We do not know. Now, possible rematch right away with Joe Joyce? Maybe. In the near future, after another fight? Maybe. He could go that route. He also could get a rematch with Filip Urkovich. And, basically go in there and beat him and get the actual decision this time. And Filip Urkovich beating him didn't do nearly as much for him as it did for Zhilei Zhang beating Joe Joyce. For one, Urkovich, basically was given that decision. He was gifted that. There's no way he won that fight. So basically, there was no big thing about it. There was, if anything, he got criticized more for that. I mean, you can't blame him for the judge's decision, but he definitely got beat up in that fight. And he did not win that fight, in my opinion, against Zhilei Zhang. But Zhilei can go in there and maybe just put the nail in the coffin in terms of that situation where, we've seen fighters in the past lose to a guy and then come back and finally get it right, to where, when I say finally get it right, I mean beat him by a much wider margin. If he can do that, we don't know. But him beating Joe Joyce, it's all about Zhilei Zhang right now. So this was a fight that it shows you people wasn't expecting him to really win. They thought it would be, a good fight, and then eventually Joyce would get him out of there. That's not what happened. So the juggernaut ran into the Great Wall of China, and he couldn't run through it. Okay, he got smashed, man. And Joe Joyce was getting his shots in at times. He was landing some shots. He came in, he put up a fight. It's not like he went there and folded. He just basically got beat up, man. Like, Zhang did way more damage and was way more effective. But, it's a fight. So I salute both of them. Joyce didn't make any excuses about losing the fight. And, that's where his focus should have been. But, one of the things about when you're critical about another fighter and you're constantly, you just can't avoid going into conversation. I feel like, a lot of these fighters need to be coached on, like, not so much robotically telling what to say, but just avoid certain conversations, because your focus should be on a guy that's across the ring from you, not a potential future opponent. You know what Zhilei Zhang and Joe Joyce both have in common? They both got beat by Anthony Joshua in the amateurs. And after watching this fight, like I said in the last video, now people are saying, nah, AJ beat him. So it's like I tell people, that should wake people up to understand. All of this saying this guy and this guy, doesn't matter if they fight or not, because he'll beat him, this guy will beat that guy. They need to settle it in the ring, okay? And so there's history there. Just like Dillian White and Anthony Joshua has history there. So right now, Zhilei Zhang is on a wave. Hopefully they push him right. If he can actually get into a fight with Tyson Fury, like he called him out and said he wanted to fight him in China, and it'll be a huge amount of money, at stake there if they make that happen. We'll see, because with Tyson Fury, he's a penny pincher, and he's gonna try to squeeze every brown penny out of that fight for it to actually happen. And if he was going to, like, think about it this way, okay? He tried to give Anthony Joshua 60-40, and AJ was coming off of 2 losses, and then said, it really should be 70-30, right? He tried to give the guy who beat Anthony Joshua 2 back-to-back times, and Usyk, 60-40. No, he tried to give him 70-30, I'm saying. So, Zhilei Zhang doing what he just did. If anything, if Tyson Fury was just, like, if he was even going to entertain a fight with him, he should be more motivated to say, hey, like, these guys are not into making history, man. He should, hey, this is legacy. Let's go in here and go at it, man. Let's give the people what they want. But instead, it's more like, nope, let's penny pinch. Let's price ourselves out so the fight don't happen, so we can fight guys like Derek Chisora and Manuel Char. We can fight those level guys. And it's just sickening, man, because at the end of the day, they can care less about how the fans feel. As long as that check is coming in, they're like, man, you get both middle fingers. We don't care about what you feel. I've milked you guys enough. I've gotten to where I need to be. I'm set for life. I don't even have to fight anymore. But I'm going to make sure that if you fight me, I'm going to get the lion's share of the money. And so right now, I hope Zhilei Zhang can capitalize on this win. And the heavyweight needs a shakeup. They need some other names to start to be mentioned with the original, 4. Okay, we know who that is. We need the Frank Sanchez's, the Jared Andersons, the Zhilei Zhangs. We need these guys, to make their presence felt. Let's see if Daniel Dubois can really, become a consistent guy and get in there and look solid. I mean, we need something else to happen, And Zhilei Zhang right now, it's funny because usually what happens when guys look bad, that's when guys say, oh, I'll fight him. Dillian White basically took to social media and, yeah, I'll step in and fight Zhilei Zhang. Yeah, I just bet you would. And you guys should want to fight these top guys. But here's the thing, right? A lot of these guys aren't doing anything, and they're trying to ride a wave to where they can get the bigger fights, and we get it. But a lot of these guys, man, I question their passion for the sport. I know they have the love of money, and yeah, you fight for money. It's prize fighting. You're supposed to. But I don't see a lot of these guys really caring too much to go in there and fight against guys that they're gonna probably leave the ring, swollen jaw, black eye, and all of that. And I think it's like they try to stay away from those type of fighters. And they'll fight a guy that maybe if he has a little buzz going, or they'll try to create one for him and make it seem like they're fighting a formidable opponent when they're clearly avoiding fighting the very best guys out there. And Zhang is 39. Like I said in the last video, him or Joyce don't have time on their side, where they really need to stay active. Hopefully Joe Joyce doesn't get down by this. He doesn't seem like, he said he's disappointed. Of course he wanted to win. Hopefully, he don't get down by this and it becomes a thing where, he's so devastated by the loss that he just never looks the same and can't bounce back, or he gets a bunch of junk fights. But Joe Joyce is going to have to work on his defense. The only way I see him beating Zhilei Zhang is if he just outworks him and Zhilei really gets tired. He gets gassed and really runs out of gas, and Joe Joyce just starts to put it on and starts to take over. That's the only way I see him beating him. I don't see him. He's not a slick boxer at all. He basically is he throws, like I say, he's a slap puncher, man. He's just volume. So Zhilei Zhang in a rematch with him would just have to pretty much be himself. Just look at what he did in the first fight. Look at things that he could have did better, and just keep a tight defense. Same thing, patience and accuracy. Joe Joyce has been fighting the same way all his life, okay? And same thing, like, it's not going to be easy for him to just all of a sudden he's a new fighter. No, the problem with Joe Joyce is he need, like, if you started to say what's wrong with Joe Joyce, no footwork, right? No real ring IQ, just volume punches, okay? He doesn't have good defense, all right? And part of him getting punched in his face and being able to absorb a shot, you see where it got him. And there'll be other fighters. I think Frank Sanchez would do the same thing. I think Frank Sanchez, his movement, his boxing skills overall, he'll probably beat him up worse than Zhilei Zhang did. And in all honesty, just and he doesn't have the size, that Zhilei Zhang has, and he'll, box more, but he's a lot slipperier. And that's one thing Frank Sanchez has a lot of other heavyweights don't have. He has it. Usyk has it. It's not a whole lot of them, but he'll probably beat him worse than Zhang did. Overall, landing more punches, and just tattooing his face up, and even if it could be the same thing where the fight gets stopped, or even if it goes 12 rounds. I see Frank Sanchez completely just outclassing him. And again, with a guy like Joyce, if he doesn't have that volume, he has nothing. He has nothing. So he needs that stamina. I guess that's from playing all that damn rugby, as well. So, along with his boxing training, but Joe Joyce is a hard worker, but he just lacks a lot of skills, man. And that's never been a question. But because of this recent crop of heavyweights, it's like, hey, he'll do good, because these guys are, let's just be honest, man. These heavyweights are not that great, man. They're just, they are what they are. But, this is mostly, like I said, I want to see Zhilei Zhang, inside. It will be good to see what he can do against a Tyson Fury, what he could do against a Usyk. Don't wait until he just gets older and older, and then all of a sudden, now you want to finally pay him some attention. They had a fighter back in the day named Amir Mansour, and see, he got a late start in boxing, and by the time he started getting a little notoriety, he was already getting up there and already had a bunch of, real brutal fights, man. And his last big hurrah was against Dominic Brazil. He lost that fight, but, he got injured really bad in that fight as well, and, people say if he didn't get injured, maybe he would have won. Well, we don't know. But point is, he was a guy with potential that just didn't get the chance to really turn into what it seemed like he was going to turn into. And for Zhang to be 39 years old, and just in one fight, now everybody's talking about Zhang. Capitalize, man. Capitalize on this, and so boxing needs it. Boxing needs it. And, it would be rewarding for him as well, because when you've been doing something for a long time and you're just being overlooked, people don't take you serious. They don't realize how good you are, because nobody's really talking about you. Frank Sanchez is going through the same thing. And if you look at the rankings, Frank Sanchez is, I forget which sanctioning body, but he's ranked number 3 or 4. He's up there. So, same thing, man. These guys need to get this light on them. They need to, if you're going to just keep trying to fatten up certain guys for certain guys, or let's hope they lose first, so whatever it is, I don't know. It's like you can clearly see there's a pattern of, we don't care about legacy, we care about money. The fighters want this money, and basically they are in a position of, do I go out and try to get these legacy fights? Well, if the networks don't want it, doesn't matter what you want. That does it. If the fighters themselves that you want to fight don't want it, then what? We see guys like Jared Anderson, man. We need these guys to get the spotlight on them. What harm is it going to do? It's only going to help the sport. It's only going to, you got fighters that people don't even know who these guys are, man. And the younger you are, people seem to think, oh, you got a lot of time. They always say that. But it depends on how, they move you through your career. So don't take it for granted. And I don't think that this win should just happen and then, they try to live off of the, okay, look at what we did to Joe Joyce. Example, look at what Joe Joyce just did to Joseph Parker. And all in one night, Joe Joyce really became the juggernaut. Now Zhang did the same thing to him. So, yeah, just saying, because they may try to take, Zhang and put him in a tough fight, which, hey, he's a fighter. So it is what it is. Hoping that he lose. So a guy like Fury don't have to fight him. Maybe, he from what I understand, that he signed with Queensberry, right? That he's not with Matchroom. So whatever happens from here, You know, and that's for any fighter, that their career should be handled properly. But you know, I like the fact, you know, and to see Zhang do what he did, and how he was just confident, wasn't talking shit. He's asked questions, he just answered the questions direct, and he came to fight, man. You know, I want to see Joyce bounce back as well, you know, and I think that if all goes right, they might even have a rivalry. Who knows, you know, but it is what it is. It's boxing. I think it was a good fight, and we see what happens. Tell me what y'all think about Zhilei Zhang and what y'all want to see him do next. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.